Sorry, a little bit behind, as per usual. But I'm happy to report the Cowboys won on Sunday. Damn it. As they should. Man. Now, UPS has their peak season. Starts around now. Y'all order a lot of shit. A lot of shit. Damn it. Well, so my hours are about to start getting extended. So it may be a few less videos here and there. I'll try to do the best I can, though. Try to throw crap out there. I don't know what's with this algorithm. Boy, my views on my channel went down. And look, it's not like I don't suck like I normally suck. It's not like I'm, more horrible than I once was. It's not like I curse more than I used to. So I'm like, nothing's really changed. I wonder why my views are down. I think it's because of YouTube. Yeah, they suck. Maybe they don't like the cussing. I don't know. But those of you who do could jump on here and watch my videos and watch my live streams, thanks. Appreciate it. Will that change? Will my views go back up? Maybe. Maybe eventually. Oh, well. If they don't, they don't. I don't know what the hell. So, eventually, maybe one day I get to 1,000 subscribers. Been hanging on the edge there for a long time. I don't know. It's not like I'm going to start making videos every day. I mean, who's got time for that shit? I know. Our favorite channels do. They probably make more money. They got, I don't know. I'm a busy son of a bitch. What can I say? I got a demanding wife. And she requires a lot of attention. Of every kind. Usually not the fun kind, unfortunately. Anyway. We are going to get into this revenue sharing. Ross Dillinger dropped an article. I know several people already went through it, I'm sure. I know Greg Flugar went through it. I'm not going to go through it. Y'all can look that up for yourselves. You can watch Greg Flugar, which I know a lot of you guys do, and you should. I don't think this is all that great for college football. But before I jump into all that, do a little reflection of last week. Last week here in the Big 12. It's a pretty good week, I would say. Pretty good week. Right now, it's looking like freaking Texas, is going to be in the conference championship game unless somehow the Red Raiders come through and whoop some ass. Maybe they will. I don't know. All I know is that Texas has been playing with fire. I mean, every game's been pretty close. Even TCU, who got massacred by Kansas State. They got massacred by several teams this year. And they were right there at the end. Right there with Texas. So, yeah. Lubbock can definitely show up and do something to UT, as they should. Sorry, getting another alert. Technology. Alert me when, I got $1 million in my account. Don't alert me with this other BS. Anyway. And BYU did pretty damn well. They held their own against OU pretty damn well. And if anyone thinks OU is getting to the playoff, and by the way, all those close games with Texas and a lot of these other schools, And I'm talking about schools like TCU who they got to win their last game just to make a bowl game. So, and when you're playing games like that very close all year long, uh, yeah, Texas has a very, very slim chance of making the playoff. I don't think they do. I don't think they do because they're going to have their hands full with freaking Okie State. They're going to have their hands full. That's probably going to happen. Who is Oklahoma State's BYU? Actually, they got BYU in Stillwater, and hey, love BYU. I think they've been a really positive team this year. As a matter of fact, before I talk out of my ass, I want to double check here. I want to look at their record. All right. All right. So BYU has to win, and they could possibly make a bowl game. Houston's screwed. UCF can make a bowl game still. Yeah, Cincinnati's pretty damn screwed. That's abysmal. Okay. Well, they're close. Anyway, BYU has every reason to go out and just throw every haymaker they got. But I still think, Oklahoma State at home. If this was at BYU, that's a big danger game, especially a night game in Provo. That would be rough. It's not. It's in Stillwater. So Oklahoma State should be able to pull that out. You would think they if they don't deserve to go to the Big 12 championship game. Let me just put it to you like that. They don't deserve it. Iowa State gave Texas their best shot, but wasn't near good enough, unfortunately. Maybe there was a little too much shit talking by Iowa State before then. At least a certain tackle out there. Keep your mouth shut. Good Lord. Anyway, let me hit what this video is all about. Revenue sharing. Horrible freaking idea in many different respects. Now, do players deserve to get paid? They absolutely do. I'm fully on board with NIL. Make that money, whether that's from Nike, from Reebok, from British Knights, if they're even still around. I don't care. Make your money. But being considered an employee of the school, ooh, that has some really, really bad consequences. Really bad for the players, for all college players, not just football players. But let's start with the football players. And this is something Greg Flugar brought up, and he's exactly 100% right about that. If you got to pay these players, they're going to be under contract. There's not going to be any transfer portal for you. So forget about player movement. Forget about your freedom. That's gone. You will sign that away, and you'll get paid. You'll get paid. But if your coach sucks, if your system sucks, if they're not using you right, whatever it is, and you want to go to another school, tough shit. You ain't going nowhere, buddy. You ain't going nowhere. How is that good for the college athlete? How is that good for a football player? It's not. It's not. And it's more than that. It's way more than that. Now, the obvious thing I know everyone's going to think about, this is going to cancel a hell of a lot of opportunity for a hell of a lot of players. I am talking about Olympic sports. Are you going to have a rowing team anymore? Probably not. Are you going to have a volleyball team, sand volleyball, beach volleyball? No. Wrestling? No. No. Track and field? Maybe, but that shit is expensive. But, you'll probably try to salvage that. Maybe baseball, softball. Because keep in mind, Title IX, everything's got to be equal. All right. So if you cut a guy's sport, you're going to have to cut a girl's sport. If you cut a girl's sport, you got to cut a guy's sport. So all that's gone because football pays for that. Well, now it can't pay for that. They're having to give that money directly to players. So if you wonder why your son, your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter can't get a scholarship, well, because no one can afford their particular sport anymore. So guess what? Bye-bye. Go get a job. No college for you. Maybe, you go get into a JUCO, they'll still be able to, they'll be able to if they're really good, maybe they can go to San Jose State, whatever Catholic school that's a mid-major, whatever. They can go to one of those. But as far as the Power Four, they ain't gonna be able to afford all that shit. And football at that level, no. And basketball at that level, no. So, I hope Stanford really enjoyed their run with all the Olympic sports, because that shit is gone. It's over. They can't afford it. Hell, they barely afford it now. I don't know how the hell they're going to afford anything after that. SMU? I mean, you ain't getting no money anyway for 10 years. But once you do, half of that's going to the players. And how does that work? I wonder. I mean, just on a side note, if you're SMU and you ain't making dick, you have no revenue. So do your players even get revenue sharing? You know what? I bet they do. Because the share is being paid by ESPN and then distributed all over the conference. But they'll have to pay for those players. Half of that money, the ACC thought this was going to be some kind of solution. Oh, we'll get that money for free. They're buying their way in. Nope, you're going to pay their players. That's what's going to happen. Oh, slick Mr. Phillips thought he had something. He won't. And by the way, you're going to have to pay all of Stanford's players and Cal's players too. Even though they're only making like 11 million or whatever it is. No. You're going to have to pay them their share too. That's how that works. That's how it's going to work. Hilarious. But there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of college scholarships that are going bye-bye because those sports are going to get cut. Because of this. Because of paying fucking football players. It's ridiculous. Now, what hasn't been talked about, what will get talked about eventually, because if revenue sharing comes into place, you better believe these players are going to unionize. They will collectively bargain. Now, once they do that, once these players collectively bargain, what they're going to realize is they got too many players per squad. All right. So I don't care what the percentage is. If it's 30%, 40%, 50%, whatever. Those players are going to get a percentage, right? Or, I don't know, quarterbacks are going to make that much, like in the NFL, depending on the position, how the players get paid, don't know. That's why they're going to have to collectively bargain to figure out how to split that money up. One of the things they're going to do, the players, this won't be the college universities. It won't be any of that because they don't care how you split your share up. But the players are going to care. The players are going to care. And I went ahead and did a little research. So there could be up to 125 players per team, Power 5 level, or FBS level, I should say. On average, it's about 105 players per team. So that's what I'm using, 105 players per team. The Power 4 schools at 7,104 players. Now, so I busted it up per conference. So the Big Ten, on average, right around, they have 1,890 players in the Big Ten. Now, that's when they go to 18. This is for next year. Now, those players, and I'm doing this on a calculation of 100 million per school. That's TV revenue. That's college football playoff, NCAA tournament, all in $100 million. Of course, we all know that's going to go up considerably with the 12-team playoff, but we're not there yet. So I'm just using what we know, what we know right now. I'm using round numbers too, not exact math here. But I'm going to calculate this on the revenue share being 50%, like in the NFL. Will it be that? Have no idea. But on 50% with 1,890 players, that is $27,000 per player in the entirety of the Big Ten. That's if every player, all 105 players per squad, got the same check. That would pay each player $27,000 a year. Not bad. Not bad for a young person in college. The SEC. I'm basing theirs, I know they make a little less, so I basically guesstimated it at around $90 million all in. Well, 50% of that, of course, is $45 million divided by 1,680 players for the SEC because it's 16 teams. That comes to roughly $27,000 per year. Now, that's rounded up a little bit. Now, the Big 12, this is where it gets interesting. Big 12 fans. Now, I know total revenue was around $50 million, so that's what I went with. That's $25 million if it's 50% going to the players. They also have 1,680 players, just like the SEC, figuratively. Average of 105 per squad. That's $15,000 per player. Not great, but not bad. All right, that's a difference of $12,000 per player per year. The ACC, I calculated it on 17 teams. I didn't include Notre Dame. Notre Dame's kind of a weird deal because I think they get paid for 4 or 5 games they play every year with the ACC. So I think sometimes it's 6. But I did theirs at $50 million on revenue. So that's 50% to the players, $25 million. And with 17 teams, it's 1,785 players. So we're dividing that at $25 million per. So that's $14,000 per player. Now, here's the thing. When they collectively bargain, they're going to look at the NFL. Now, think about the NFL. The NFL has a 64-man roster. Could be 65 now, but I think it's 64. We're going to go with 64. That's what I based it on. That's what I think it is. Now, if you notice, not the NFLPA, not the Major League Baseball Players Association, nor the NBA Players Association, you notice none of them ever collectively bargain for more players, expanded rosters. They don't. Why is that? Because in all 3 of those leagues, the players get a percentage. It's usually right around 50% of the total revenue of the league. That's what's put out there. Right around 50%. So if you have more jobs, more players, now you have to, see what I'm saying? You have to distribute that money, that same revenue, to more players. So individually, each player makes less because of that. They don't want to make less. They want to make more. So they don't want more jobs. All right. They want just enough jobs so that they don't have to play every minute of every game. There can be backups. They can get rest. They can miss a game due to injury, things of that nature. But they want it limited. So keep that in mind. Because right now, each school can have up to 85 scholarships on each team. But what I did, and keep that number in mind, 85 scholarships. Now, I also did the same math, but what I did, I'm like, okay, if I'm the Players Association, maybe the new College Players Association, in order to get more money, because even with and I did this calculation on a 50% revenue split. So the highest possible revenue split, which we don't know if that's going to be the case. It could be 40%, it could be 30. Don't know. We don't know what the revenue sharing is going to end up looking like. But I went ahead and based it more on the NFL style of things, since we're going all professional leagues here. So I did it on 50%. So, but if I'm the Players Association, I want to base how many players per squad I have on the NFL model, because you need enough players to where you can field a team, you can get through injuries, whether that's on game day or throughout the week, whatever. So you need enough roster spots. So 64 seems to be a pretty good number. So I use 64. Now, the Big Ten, at that point, instead of having 1,890 players, they would have 1,152 players with 64 spots on each team. And I did the same exact math. Half of their $100 million a year all in, at $50 million divided by 1,152, that's $43,500 per player. And that's up from $27,000 per player. That's why if you collectively bargain, you're going to want less players per team. And I did the same thing with the SEC. It's $44,000 a year per player. The Big 12, $24,500. The ACC, $23,000. That's how it works out. It's how the math works out. So if I unionize, if I'm the players, I want less players per team. So 85 scholarships, kiss that goodbye. You can do 64. But what does that do? That kills the walk-on. Walk-ons are done. they're done. There is no walk-on. Maybe you can do a practice squad thing. You won't get no revenue. You can do something like that. You could be a tackling dummy. That's about it. There's no walk-ons, and actually, there's no Baker Mayfield walk-on going to happen. Only scholarship athletes. And it's not going to be 85. It's going to be 64. Or somewhere around that number. Why? Because it's a hell of a lot more money per player. That's why. I mean, when the Big Ten, you go from $27,000 a year to $43,000 a year. Damn near 44. SEC, 44. It's a big jump in pay. And this is what it's about, right? It's about the freaking money. So if you do the math, 64 to 85, that's 21 scholarships per team gone. All any non-scholarship athlete, walk-ons, whatever, to get to 105, gone. Opportunity, gone. That's it. It's done. You're done. How many 2-stars are going to get on at the Power 4 level? Not many. Or 1-star guys? No, you're not paying them. Now, the good news is the guys who would be scholarship athletes to Alabama, the 21 that are now gone, they'll still be around. They may go to the Big 12. They may go to an ACC team. But remember, the 85 scholarships that TCU can have, well, 21 of those guys are gone. See what I'm saying? Now, in one respect, parity throughout, I think, will actually increase because you'll have limited players, limited scholarship players. You're cutting 21 scholarships on this math, and that's about the number. You'll have to cut at least 20 scholarships for it to really make a difference as far as the money per player. Now, is it going to be equal pay? I doubt it. I doubt it. Now, there's one thing I should have done the math on. I should have done the math on that model here, which I will do right now in front of y'all and bore the crap out of you. But let's take the Let's take the SEC. That's $44,000 a year per player with 64 players. Times 64 equals almost $3 million. So that team will, so let's say Alabama will have $2,816,000 to spend on their overall roster. Are they going to divide it up 64 ways to $44,000 equally to every player? Doubtful. So really, it's really not that much money. So how much can you? Let's say they get a big time 5-star quarterback. How much can they afford to pay the kid? Think about that. How much can they pay that kid, that 5-star kid? Because you got 64 mouths to feed. What's the percentage? What's the percentage of that? I mean, maybe you pay him a couple $100,000 a year. Okay. The thing is, that kid probably, if he's that big time of a kid, he's probably making more on NIL. He probably is. So that $2.8 million, he's probably making that whole thing on NIL. Screw the team. See, that's where things get a little convoluted too. So if they're directly paying him, do you still have NIL? Well, of course you do. Of course you have NIL. But it's going to work different. I don't know if they're going to still have the collectives or not. That's weird. Right? So if you're paying, if all these players are getting a paycheck every year, yeah, it's a lot of unanswered questions. So like I said, I just had to use averages here. So it just makes sense to me that if you're going to have revenue sharing, you're going to need to collective bargain, and they will get the right to collectively bargain. And if they do collectively bargain, they're going to want to limit not just the players. They want to eliminate the walk-ons, but they want around 64 players, 65 players, somewhere in that neighborhood, so that they can get paid. And they don't have to split it up too many ways. Because like I just did the math there, you're talking about under $3 million for the entire football team to divvy up. All right, do you want to divvy it up 105 ways, or do you want to divvy it up 64 ways? See, see what I'm saying? That's another reason the revenue sharing is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Because there's so many mouths to feed. The only thing you can do to create more money if you're players is cut scholarships. Get rid of opportunities. That's 20 opportunities for a college education. Gone. Gone. Walk-ons trying to live a dream, gone. Ain't happening. Now, you can still walk on, and maybe if they have a scholarship, maybe they cut somebody. And that becomes more prevalent as well. Just straight up cutting your ass. I mean, players, the players get cut now, yeah, but it's just because of how everything works. It's a little weird, it'll be more prolific. Let's put it that way. You get a rookie in and he ain't really cutting it. He didn't, the motor isn't really developing. Things aren't, maybe the second year, we give him another year. This doesn't really seem to be working out. And they just cut him, which they wouldn't do that. Maybe someone takes his job, but they're not just going to cut the guy. You might teams might get a lot more cutthroat now, and then you can't transfer. So what happens then? Because you're under contract now. Once they cut you, the contract's null and void, right? You can go sign to another team, maybe. But how it works in the NFL, the low guys on the roster get cut for another guy that they want to bring in from somewhere else. I mean, and eventually how it works around is you're going to have guys getting cut and they don't have the opportunity to get on somewhere else and get a scholarship to go to another school. They're screwed. They're screwed. Oh, we'll do it differently so these guys can still go to school. Stop with the go to school. Because if you do revenue sharing, you don't give a damn. You don't give a damn about players. And I'm not even talking about football players. I'm talking about players in general in college, student athletes, students. You don't care about students. None of them in any sport. And I'm not talking about the NCAA. I'm not talking about conferences. I'm not talking about the higher ups in universities, chancellors, presidents, whatever. I'm talking about the players themselves don't give a rat's balls about other players in other sports or hell, even their own sport. They're going to sit there and screw other college football players for their pocketbook. That's what's going to happen. It's greed, people. Evil begets evil. It's just there. So that's the world we're all about to enter. Well, look at there. I got a couple comments. Let's see what's up. Mike Smith, what's up, bro? Would there be no way to say if you get so much in NIL money as a player, you do not get that base rate at the school would pay an employee? So the top players get paid a good deal? No. As a matter of fact, I don't know if they still even do collectives after that. Maybe. I don't know how that works. Because it would seem like if you have a collective, you can't just pick and choose players to give money to. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how that revenue deal how it works. Now, your top players, if let's say they get a Gatorade sponsorship, that's NIL money too. So all that's fair game. All right. So if the next great West Virginia quarterback gets a Mercedes-Benz sponsorship in West Virginia, okay. It's probably more like a Dodge truck. But hey, it's a Dodge truck sponsorship. Okay. They get the Dodge truck sponsorship for your quarterback and he's making $1 million a year. Well, as far as the revenue, maybe he makes $100,000, $50,000 a year from the college, but he can also get whatever sponsorships, whatever other money he can get. The collective thing is the real question there, Mike. I don't know if they'll be able to, have an NIL collective, if that it's even a thing, or if, I don't know at that point if the money people are even going to care about having an NIL collective for football players if they're getting a revenue share. They'll probably more than likely what you'll see what collectives will try to do is save other sports within the university from being cut. So come out and fund the beach volleyball team, fund the rowing team, fund the wrestling team. So as far as NIL collectives, I think that's what they'll try to do with that. Mostly become like a booster thing instead of NIL collective. And that's how they'll try to keep some of these other sports alive. They'll still have to cut a lot of them, but that's what'll happen. But the lower or average players not getting NIL would get a base or minimum wage type of money, which means smaller amounts of money. That's what I'm saying. We're not talking about shit tons of money here, even for top players, even in the SEC. Like I said, I mean, you got, as of right now, you got somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million for the entire football team to pay to divvy up between those players. That's not a lot of money. I mean, just think about what In the NFL, what is it? What is the salary cap up to? 250, $300 million. You know, that's a that's that's a bit that's a bit sketch. So all of this, oh, where's our money? Well, there you go. 50,000 for your starting quarterback, maybe 25. You know, maybe 10,000 a year for your left tackle. Left tackle maybe 20,000, right tackle 15, your center 12. That's the money. That's the money because it won't be equally distributed between all the players. I guarantee you it won't be. Because these universities are trying to entice the best quarterback, the best linebacker, the best defensive end, the best receiver. So the big names are going to make the majority of that 3 million. Everyone else is going to have to settle for piddly shit. Now, when they collectively bargain, they'll have to, that's another reason they collectively bargain, to make sure everyone gets a bite of the apple. But there's going to be plenty of players that get a really big bite or get to have 2 or 3 bites, versus the punter, right, the kicker, all right, they're going to get a drop of that apple juice. They're not going to get a whole bite. So that's kind of the way that's going to happen. Mike Smith, I hate that the NFL has such a smaller number of active roster spots. That is something that I think that college football is better with the larger rosters. But that'll go away with revenue sharing, Mike, because it has to. There's too many mouths to feed and not enough money. I mean, people are acting like college makes NFL money. Oh, fuck no, it doesn't. College overall, Division 1, 2, 3, everything, it I don't even know if it's close. I don't even know if it's close. Even everything, I don't know if it's close. It's a little, the NFL's 32 teams. 32 teams. I mean, what are the Dallas Cowboys worth? How many billions of dollars are they worth? Their TV contracts are insanity. NFL TV contracts are insanity. They make so much freaking money. So 32 teams, 64 players each team, 300, whatever, somewhere around the neighborhood of $300 million a year salary cap. That's always going up. They're swimming in cash. Now, 64 players, they don't see as much as, NBA players do on a way, less money than the NFL, but there's just so many more players. But, those active roster spots, though, Mike, those will go down, and they'll go down considerably because of the money. Because it's not a lot of money. It's really not. With all of those freaking teams, there's 68 Power 4 schools. 68. That's a lot of mouths to feed. I mean, shit. That's more than double the amount of NFL teams. And, think what you want about the Big Ten. They don't make piddly shit next to the NFL. Neither does the SEC. So the whole financial scenarios are just not my wheelhouse, especially what may or may not work in college football. Mongo just pawn in game of life when it comes to financials. Dude, I hear you. That's why I'm kind of using these aren't exact figures. These are all guesstimations and roundabouts. I'm not too far off from the truth here. And I understand the financials. But here's the thing, all right? Does it really change life in the Big 12 that much? Because they'll have to cut different athletic programs, just like all the big schools will have to keep their and if to keep their football and their basketball top notch, that's their only two revenue generators. So they got to keep them at a high level as much as possible. But does it really hurt the Big 12 that much? I think the gains would outweigh the negatives. I think the gains would actually outweigh the negatives. Because if you look at the amount per player, is it that significant? I mean, right now, can TCU outbid Texas for a player? Could the collective TCU collective, you know, outbid Texas for one player? Maybe. Probably one player a year they'll beat somebody on, maybe. But keep in mind, Texas rosters 4 and 5-star guys throughout the roster. So does A&M. So does Florida State. So does Alabama and Georgia and USC and Ohio State and Michigan. All right. TCU can't afford to roster 4 and 5-star recruits all over the field. They can't do it. They can't do it. Kansas State sure as hell can't do it. A lot of these schools in the Big 12 and in the ACC and in most of college football, regardless of conference, you need walk-ons. You need guys who come out of nowhere, who weren't highly recruited out of high school. And they need them to turn into something, a respectable player. It may not be some big-time player, but good enough to get a scholarship, good enough to get an education. They'll never make the NFL. They'll never be in the draft. But they're a good, serviceable college player. A lot of those guys are going to be gone. And if you look at it just from a competition standpoint, that would actually help TCU. Because all those big schools, they can't have 85 of the top freaking players on the planet on their team anymore. Because the players won't want it. They'll only want around 60, 64, 65 players. That way they can have more money. So that means the players that they would normally recruit, you're talking high-end 3-star recruits, 4-star recruits, those will get distributed in other places. Now, the Vanderbilts of the world, of course, will get their share. The Rutgers of the world, the Northwesterns of the world, the Purdues of the world, the Marylands of the world. But Big 12 will be able to get up quite a few of those as well. Even though their revenues are less, but they'll still be able to get them. They'll still be able to pay those players. Because, look, if I'm a player, will I take a little bit less of this split? Do I want to, instead of playing at Rutgers, I think I'd rather be at TCU. I think I'd rather be at Oklahoma State than Rutgers. I think I'd rather be at Texas Tech than Rutgers. Why? Because more people are going to see me play and play in games that matter. That's just still going to matter to these players. They still want a chance to get to a freaking playoff. Rutgers in an expanded playoff, good luck ever getting to the postseason. I think Maryland can do it once in a while. Maybe not the playoff, but they can at least get to a bowl game. I know Northwestern's putting a hell of a lot into their facilities for whatever that's worth. But, I look at Purdue or someone like that. I think I'd rather play for Baylor. I think I'd rather play for Utah or Arizona or Colorado. I think I'd rather do that. I think I have more of a chance. So that'll play a bigger role as well. So just because, Vanderbilt can pay you, you're going to get a little bit more money, a few $1,000s more a year. So you divide that up, per week. That doesn't really work out to a shit ton more per week, does it? We all live paycheck to paycheck out here. Let me go ahead and look at that. Let me go ahead and do the math on that. $44,000 SEC player, let's say Vanderbilt, divided by 52 weeks of a year, that's $846 a week. That's not bad. That's not bad for a college student, former student athlete. All right, now let's see here. Big 12, I had it at 24,500 divided by 52. All right, it's like 471. I mean, the thing is, and here's the thing: you may take, okay, instead of making 800, you're making basically right around half of that per week, right? Keep in mind, you still got all your lodging, you still got all your food, you got all your medical, you got everything paid for, your books, everything's paid for already. Now, would I rather go to Vanderbilt or TCU? I think I'd rather go to TCU. Oh my God, but you're making like $400 less a week. Yeah, but everything's paid for. That's just free money. That's a baseline amount of money. And by the way, if it's a big time quarterback, I'm not saying like the top up. I'm just saying, I don't know, maybe a lower four star, high 3-star guy. Do I want Vanderbilt? And what are they going to be willing to pay me versus TCU? Maybe TCU offers you kind of around the same money, maybe a little less. But the difference is at TCU, people will see you. You have a shot to play for a conference title. You have a shot to get to the playoff. And because of that, and if you're end up being a badass, or, same thing for like linebacker, running back, whatever, now I can have a chance to make real money. Maybe get a Gatorade deal, a Nike deal, a British Nike deal, Converse, whatever, right? Maybe get a Toyota commercial, whatever it is. I got a better shot at getting all that extra curricular money at TCU than I do at Vanderbilt. Mike Smith, where is the regular crowd? Speaking of TCU, will they win that last game to become bowl eligible? Kind of a tough ask unless Oklahoma overlooks them or rest players. I don't think Oklahoma is going to rest anybody there, Mike. All I will say, it's a long shot. It's a long shot for TCU to win that game, but this is the last time they're going to play Oklahoma for a while. This is why they went balls out to beat Texas, because that was going to be the last time in God knows how many years they're going to ever play Texas again. It may be even longer for Oklahoma. So they want to take a bite out of that ass if they can. Trust me, Tech is climbing the walls to get to Austin and play that game. They are dying to play that game. Because this is going to be the last shot at Texas for a very long time. I mean, I'm sure they'll eventually one day play again, but it could, no shit, be 20, 30, 40 years down the road. So TCU is going to give them everything they got. And like I said, they damn near got Texas, and Texas is better than Oklahoma, even though Oklahoma beat them. I mean, on their best days, they're kind of close, but really Texas is far and away, I think, a better team. Oh, talk of Gary Barnett wanting to get back into Gary Barnett to be a head coach. Would be interesting with all the possible openings. Oh, you're talking about Gary. You talking about Patterson? Because I don't know who the hell Gary Barnett is. Just saying. If you're talking about Coach Patterson, then there has been a lot of talk with that. I will say this. I know you're a West Virginia fan. If, for whatever reason, if Neil Brown, they decide, didn't do a good enough job, dude, Gary Patterson in West Virginia, that looks pretty nice. Because Gary Patterson's a hell of a coach. He just is. He's a really good coach. He got crossways with some people here at TCU. All right, cool. You did get that. But yeah, he would make a hell of a West Virginia coach. Now, I don't have anything against Neil Brown. I hope he keeps his job. But if he wants to coach, the line will form to the left. There'll be an opportunity for him. And I think possibly a Power 5 level, depending on what opens up. I'll tell you what. Look out, Baylor. Look out, Baylor, because they suck all kinds of balls this year. Even though I think it may be too soon, but Houston may look to trade up. Just saying. If he's putting his name out there, opportunities may come a-calling. Wayne Russell, what's up, dude? Those weekly amounts will shrink when taxes are taken out. Well, yeah, that's another thing. They won't get hit as bad as like NFL players. NFL players pay about 50%. So if they're making $2 million in a year, they're actually making $1 million. $1 million. The other $1 million goes to Uncle Sam. But that's a way higher tax bracket than like what we're talking, like best case scenario, $44,000 a year. You're not paying that much. I think Gary Barnett was a Northwestern coach years ago. Sounds like it. That's funny. But I'm about to head out of here, guys. And I appreciate those of y'all who showed up. I do appreciate it. Tuesday's a weird day for me to go live. It just is. It's a weird week. It's Thanksgiving week. I'm busy as hell. Monday, I had to get Christmas lights up. I had to do it. I only had Sunday off this week. I voluntarily went in to work Monday. This is my big money week for the year right here. All right, let's put it this way. Because at UPS, like everybody, we get paid holidays like Thanksgiving, but because of our contract, don't know how it happened, but because of our contract, Thursday and Friday we get paid for. We get paid for 2 days. We got 2 holiday paid days back to back. But we run freight on Friday. And also per contract, we get paid double time to work on a scheduled holiday. So technically, if you include the holiday pay plus the double time, it's actually triple time. So everybody volunteers to work when it's triple time. And I'm working. I didn't have to work Monday, but working Monday puts me at 6 full days of working, and the 6th day is all time and a half. So I'll be making triple time on Friday and time and a half on Saturday because I worked on Monday and because it's Thanksgiving. So it's just too many reasons, too much money. Too much. Well, Mike, I do appreciate that. Y'all have a great freaking day, man. Watch some football. Go Cowboys. Go Cowboys. I hope they beat the shit out of everybody. Damn it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And pray for me because I will be working my butt off. Anyway, have a great Thanksgiving. Peace out, guys. Bye.